What's up? What's up? Casanova. I just wanted to talk to you guys about a question that's been coming to me a lot from clients, family, friends, and they're wondering, should you be buying or selling in this market right now, especially that you're getting so close to winter? Should you buy or sell in the winter this year? And so I just wanted to give you guys my take, my opinion. Hopefully you guys get some great insights out of it. And of course, always leave me your feedback, like, share, subscribe. Let me know, is it helpful? Is it not? So the first thing I always tell people that yes, when you get towards the winter time, the market does start to slow down, of course. But you got to think about it. If you're a seller, you got to think about it as a lot of other sellers are doing the same thing that you're thinking about doing, which is pulling your house off the market. If you pull your house off the market, then the buyers don't know that you're still looking to sell. They don't know what happened because at that time, they're only looking at what's currently active on the market. Most of the time, buyers aren't looking at canceled or expired listings. So you got to really rely on your agent, or you got to do a lot of digging in yourself, on your own to be able to really find that property if you're a buyer. So as a seller, you got to keep it to yourself to say, hey, I know that there's going to be less buyers out there, but at the same time, there's going to be more qualified and more intentional buyers out there. I'll tell you, when it gets 20 to 30 degrees, there's no realtor, nor is there any buyer that's just looking to go to open houses or check out houses when they're not serious about buying a property. So you got to keep that in mind as well. Now, as a buyer, you have to look and you have to say, okay, we're getting closer to the winter time. Should I be looking to buy, or should I wait till the springtime, or, beginning of the spring in that February, March range where more houses are going to come on the market? Well, yes, there's going to be more houses that come on the market. But the same thing you got to think about is interest rates. Because our economy is being perceived as being stronger, interest rates are going up. They're growing. I called a buddy yesterday and I'd asked him, what's interest rates right now? He's a loan officer, a great loan officer. And he had said, right now, if you have really good credit, really good collateral to be able to put up, debt to coverage, everything's looking solid, you're probably looking at 4.875. If not, you're looking at 5% to 5.25%. Which is crazy because now, someone who could afford a $200,000 house can now only afford a $175,000 house. And that $25,000 is a big swing. That could be the difference of a bedroom. That could be the difference of updates. That could be the difference of neighborhoods. That's a lot even on taxes, right? So you got to think about, where you are in the scope of things right now. Do you have a down payment? Is there any funds out here? If you don't have a down payment or you don't have any funds, are there any grants out that you could use, right? No matter what your community is, there's probably a nonprofit, or like here in Nebraska, we have NIFA, which is Nebraska Investment Fund Association. So they give money to first-time home buyers. It's a part of an FHA program, but it allows you to bring even less than the 3.5%, which is traditionally needed. So you got to find out. If you don't know, then maybe reach out to either community leaders or your realtors and ask, like, hey, do you guys know of any grant programs? Or reach out to the banks, smaller community banks, or, mortgage brokers who's dealing with a lot of different banks rather than just one bank. And so they might have access to, additional capital to be able to help you. So that's a little bit of my insight. Another thing that I'll tell you all is, when you're looking at buying or selling in the wintertime, you got to understand that there's probably a lot of discounts that can come with that. Now, if you're selling and you've already priced yourself competitively, so maybe that's 5% below the market value right now of what else is going in your neighborhood, you're enticing and giving buyers a reason. When you give buyers a reason to want to come in and bid on your house, and you can get multiple of them, then you create that compound effect where you get in a multiple offer situation, right? So even though we're not in the market where we used to be over the last 2 months or 2 years, right, we still have opportunities to be able to create multiple offer situations. But what that means is you can't price the buyers out. If you're already over asking price, right? Or I guess market value would be a better way to put it. If your market value is 200,000 and you're already trying to squeeze it for 210, in a market like this where you have a lot of factors that's kind of going against you, you really got to look at that, because then in the end, nobody's going to be able to really go in and talk themselves up, which is ideally what you want them to do. When they walk into your house, you want them to be like, man, this is such a good deal that we need to buy this. Well, okay, there's another buyer that thinks the same thing. And then you're like, you know what? We're not going to lose to them because we know how good of a deal this is. So now we're going to bid this up. So if you started out at 190,000 and you allowed them to bid themselves up to 200,000, you still got what you were comfortable with, what you were okay selling your house for. So you don't want to get greedy. You want to make sure that, again, you have an offer. You want to say, here's why you buy my house, is because we're already competitively priced. Right? And then as a buyer, you have to look at it and understand that there's going to be some things that work in your favor as well. Look at new construction. When you get to around the times of November and December, depending on the area, how long that builder's had that house, you could get some pretty big discounts, right? I remember my first ever deal. I got my clients $15,000 off. And I'm sure they're watching this video right now, and they'll think, my first ever deal, it was so funny because when you're starting out and you got new construction, you got a buyer who's really like, no, man, I gotta win. And you're like, okay, I want to help you win. But a builder normally is not gonna come down on their price like that. So for $15,000, I was like, oh man, like I felt like I was dead in the water. And he wound up coming down, and he came down because he knew how hard I was working, but he knew at the same time that it was the right business decision for him, because he didn't want to go into the new year still sitting on this inventory, especially when he's trying to get new ground broken. Right? So those are the things to be able to keep in mind. Ultimately, I would say if you're looking to buy or sell and you can afford to keep it on the market right now, it's absolutely still a great time, because interest rates are going to go up, as I said. And if prime goes up and interest rates goes up again, then again, sellers, you're pricing a lot of buyers out of your house, right? Because the people who could afford $200,000 can now only afford $150,000 or $175,000, right? So now they're no longer in your price range as well. And buyers, same thing for you. If you wanted those extra amenities, if you wanted that nicer neighborhood potentially, if you wanted the extra updates, if you wanted the extra bedroom, the third stall garage, sorry about that, you're going to be able to make sure, you're going to need to make sure that you get the best price point that you can get. So that's my insight today. Hopefully you guys got something out of it. Leave me, some comments, some feedback, like, share, hit that subscribe button for me, because I'm going to keep bringing you guys these tips, this information, a lot of cool things that I'm doing right now. And I'm excited to bring you all onto my community. And so just stay tuned. Thanks for rocking with me. In the dream we trust, it's Casanova. We'll talk soon.